Bum 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 da na 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 da 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 na na da 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 na 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 da da da. Hey, I know that song and you do too. Star Wars, right? But what made Star Wars such a phenomenon that we still watch it 40 years later? Was it good directing? Catchy music? An awesome cast? A 7-foot tall hairy creature? Robots that talk to each other? Lightsabers? Maybe all or none of that? It all started in the summer of 1970 when George Lucas started writing concepts for a new film. Originally titled The Adventures of Luke Starkiller, 4 attempts and 16,000 pages later, the script became what we now know, Star Wars, or Episode 4, A New Hope. Nobody really expected a sci-fi flick about a young farmman who embarks on an intergalactic quest with a smuggler and a princess to do well, yet it did. And not only that, Star Wars transcended into all areas of our lives. In 2001, in the UK, 390,000 people stated that their religion was Jedi. That made Jedi the 4th largest religion in the UK that year. In the 1980s, President Reagan called the Soviet Union the evil empire as inspired by Star Wars. Even his missile defense system was nicknamed Star Wars. Robotic hands nowadays have pretty widespread use with amputees, and terrain vehicles are finding use in the military, and the GPS system TomTom has Star Wars voices as a selectable feature. George Lucas was one of the first to patent the trilogy concept. Usually, if a film did well, it got a sequel, but let alone 3! Prequels, sequels, TV shows, books, video games, action figures, toys. These are all things that made Lucas a multi-billionaire. How did he cash in, though? Well, when offered a higher fee for writing a script, he declined. He opted to get the ownership of licensing and merchandising rights. 20th Century Fox, the studio that published Star Wars, readily agreed, not knowing that the film would grow into the franchise that would make so much money. Lucas used these rights wisely, which made Star Wars a force to be reckoned with. Star Wars was a first for many things in the movie industry. Let's start with special effects. The majestic Millennium Falcon soaring through space in an epic chase with the Empire's TIE fighters. Boom! Explosions! Whoosh! Making the jump to hyperspace. In reality, this scene was just a die-cast model of the Millennium Falcon attached to a fishing rod, dangling over a couple of gray potatoes in front of a giant green screen. His use of green screens paved the way for the use of CGI, a popular must-have in films now. Lucas used every bit of technology that was available at the time in just about every frame of his movie. Some he even invented himself. It was these special effects that drove people in to see the film. People were willing to pay to see these effects for the first time, and then the second and the third, and so on. Some effects, however, were very simple, but they worked. The iconic Star Wars intro was made by stenciling the paragraph onto a black piece of paper. Then, a low-position camera would slowly roll over the words. Pretty simple! The Great Yoda was operated by a puppeteer. And banthas were just elephants in shaggy costumes. I mean, who knew? Not only did the movie look great, but it also sounded great. The movie was filled with unique and interesting sounds. Buzzing, whooshing of lightsabers. The whoosh of going into hyperspace. Beeps and boops of R2-D2. Wookiees! Vader's breathing. All this and more brought to life with the use of Dolby surround sound. It raised the movie-watching experience to a new level and forced theater owners to upgrade their sound systems if they wanted to show this film. And everyone wanted to show Star Wars. Ben Burtt, the sound designer for Star Wars, won an Academy Award for achievements in sound. The composer, John Williams, won an Academy Award for original score. I mean, who doesn't know the Imperial March or the cantina music. But the sounds are only there to enhance the plot, right? So that brings us to the plot. An intergalactic adventure happening a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. This was something sci-fi movies virtually never had. Action didn't take place on Earth, nor in a specified time. Another first for the film industry was casting unknown actors and actresses. The only recognizable name to most people was Alec Guinness, who played Obi-Wan Kenobi. I mean, nobody had heard of Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, or Carrie Fisher. Kind of hard to believe, I know, but this was the film that propelled them into stardom. Luke Skywalker wasn't just the hero who figures everything out on his own. He has Obi-Wan to mentor him. Master and apprentice. By Luke's side on this valiant space quest are Han Solo, the witty bad boy, and Princess Leia, the ambassador of the Republic, and, spoiler alert, Luke's long-lost sister, as we find out later. The droids are trusty robot companions that accompany Luke and the gang. Of course, you know them, R2-D2 and C-3PO. This was the first movie the robots took the places of actors. They talked to each other, they pouted, worried, they were joyous, and they fought in battle. And then, there were the villains. Darth Vader, the ultimate bad guy. It actually took 3 actors to fully portray him. One for the head, one for the body, and one for the voice. But what are heroes and villains without their armies and weapons? Luke Skywalker has the help of the Jedi, ancient peacekeepers who defended the Republic. Mace Windu, Yaddle, Ki-Adi-Mundi, and of course, the 900-year-old, funny-talking, green, legendary Jedi Master, Yoda. On the evil side, powerful Darth Vader commands an army of mindless underlings called Stormtroopers. The weapon both sides use is the Force, an energy which flows throughout all living things. The protagonists use it to help defend and maintain peace, never for violence. That is not the Jedi way. The antagonists, however, have a very different opinion and use the Force for their own gain, to injure and torment people and conquer galaxies. The only other weapon both sides use is the lightsaber, the ultimate energy blade. The most important component of lightsabers are crystals, extracted from beneath the surface of the planet using the Force. Then, the model is constructed, leaving space in the middle for the crystal. The crystal also determines the color of the blade. There are many different lightsaber models, including the Quillian, the Crossguard, and the Shoto. But no space travel saga would be complete without the Millennium Falcon and Star Destroyers. And the last thing to wrap up our sci-fi saga would be aliens! Hundreds and hundreds of different species and subspecies, all with their own unique language and appearances. Hutts like Jabba, Rhodians like Greedo, Wookiees like Chewbacca, and Ewoks like Wicket. And one place in the galaxy where all these different species intersect and mingle. Mos Eisley on the planet Tatooine. Awesome! 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 Every time I watch these films, I learn a little more about this galaxy far, far away and its inhabitants. Each time I notice another little detail that escaped my attention the previous times. Details that make the story unique and interesting. The Kessel Run, parsecs, astronomic droids, Tashi Station, power converters, starboard, hyperdrive, thermal detonator, the astrophysics of fun, and I can't get enough of it. What can I say? The Force is strong with this one. And so long, and may the Force be with you.